Can't you hear the steel rails humming? That's the hobo's lullaby. I know your clothes are torn and ragged, and your hair is turning gray. Lift your head and smile at trouble. You'll find peace and rest someday. Sounds okay to me. Thank you very much. My name is Sammy Walker. I'm from the United States of America, and it's my pleasure to be here in your beautiful town of Cosenza tonight. Back fields in Carolina, it's harvest time again. Your old man's at the station, bragging about where all you been. Louie, she's still waiting to get you back into her arms. And your brother sure does miss you with the chores down on the farm. Don't you know how they miss you on the farm? It seems you just left yesterday, and it's done been 2 whole years. Ain't it funny how you turn around and time just disappears? Don't you know how that time just disappears? Carolina soldier boy, come high in the sun. 19-year-old redhead on his own. If you see him on the highway, much obliged to anyone who'll bring that Carolina soldier boy back home. Sister Billy Sousa skipping off down to the school, and she's kicking up the dust around her Easter Sunday shoes. Your mama's in the backyard weeding out her flower bed, with that same old funny bonnet she still wears upon her head. That same old ruffle bonnet on her head. Carolina soldier boy, come high in the sun. 19-year-old redhead on his own. If you see him on the highway, much obliged to anyone who'll bring that Carolina soldier boy back home. New kids down old Fire Creek like we done when we was young, and they play the same old games and sing the same old songs we sung. It's funny how things go, the way the wind takes off the grain, and the meadow just gets greener with every passing summer rain. That old meadow just somehow stays the same. The scenery never changes in this little old one-horse town. When I see you walking up that road, we'll turn her upside down. It'll sure be fun to turn her upside down. Carolina soldier boy, come high in the sun. 19-year-old redhead on his own. If you see him on the highway, much obliged to anyone who'll bring that Carolina soldier boy back home. Carolina soldier boy from high in the sun, 19-year-old redhead on his own. If you see him on the highway, much obliged to anyone, go bring that Carolina soldier boy back home. Go bring that Carolina soldier boy back home. Gracias. Thank you very much. I have a friend that lives in New York City, up on the Upper West Side of New York City. His name is Gordon Friesen, and Gordon Friesen he's 79 years old, and he's in very ill health at this time. But when I was younger, I used to go visit Gordon and listen to him tell me stories of his days growing up in the Southwest of America, out in the Dust Bowl. And I would sit and listen for hours to him tell me these stories. So I made him up a song called Look Away, Old Friend. You blew in with a whirlwind of the Dust Bowl, shook hands with that dark old Kansas sky. Tell me once again about those nightingale songs. Let me see that black old dust storm fly. Just look away out across that lonesome prairie. If you can't remember every silo, it's okay. Just spin me an old-fashioned Oklahoma good time. Look away, old friend, look away. Spin me out a rainbow of your travels, travels that have took you near and far. Tell me once again about your lifelong love. Take me through the heavens to your star. Just look away out across that lonesome prairie. You can't remember every silo, it's okay. Just spin me an old-fashioned Oklahoma good time. Look away, old friend, look away. You sold the daily worker in Detroit City, passed out the truth among the lies. You've always had a helping hand waiting for every hungry kid who dropped by. So tomorrow I walk uptown on Broadway, ask the same old way, how you been? I'll pull up that old chair back in the parlor and ask you for your story once again. Just look away out across that lonesome prairie. If you can't remember every silo, it's okay. Just spin me an old-fashioned Oklahoma good time. Look away, old friend, look away. just spin me an old-fashioned Oklahoma good time. Look away, old friend, look away. Thank you. About 10 or 12 years ago, I recorded a record album for the Warner Brothers label, and it was titled Blue Ridge Mountain Skyline. This is the title song from that album. Staring out the window of a lonesome railroad train. A dream for you, a dream for me, a dream for sweet Lorraine. Huckleberry memories of little women poet wine. Make the time pass better when I miss that gal of mine. Dark saloons and hotel rooms just seem to bring me down. I wish that I was leaving when I first get into town. Say hello to Grandma if you see her in the spring. Perhaps I'll send her all my love on a carrier pigeon's wing. And if I could only see beyond that Blue Ridge mountain skyline, if I could only somehow find that road way back when, if I could give it up and throw it out the window, I'd pack my bag at daybreak, never be heard about again. Miss the fun of a tall tale that the old factory man could spin. Pinch of snuff and a checkerboard could really pacify that man. But the tables turned and the old man died with the changing of the guard. I don't mind the changings, just sometimes it comes so hard. Still nights on the front porch seem so far away and small, when we'd hear the plowboy wheeling out that lonesome cattle call. The jukebox in the cafe don't play nothing that I know. Hell, I guess I'll save my quarter and hear that steamboat whistle blow. And if I could only see beyond that Blue Ridge mountain skyline, if I could only somehow find that road way back when, if I could give it up and throw it out the window, I'd pack my bag at daybreak, never be heard about again. Guess I'd head back home for Christmas if they left things up to me. Maybe get lost in the mountains somewheres down in Tennessee. But San Bernardino is a long way from home, 20 miles from nowhere, $20 by telephone. And if I could only see beyond that Blue Ridge mountain skyline, if I could only somehow find that road way back when, if I could give it up and throw it out the window, I'd pack my bag at daybreak and never be heard about again. people cross the ocean, faces you never see, living for a notion of a place that's called free. Just beyond the border, beyond the guardsman's yells, across the wire and mortar, West Berlin bells, tolling out for freedom, tolling out for something, something that's worth risking. East Berlin sells, West Berlin bells. People behind the curtain better watch out for what they say, for their fate is never certain as they live from day to day. Don't talk about possessions or what the vendor sells. There's only one direction, West Berlin bells, tolling out for freedom, tolling out for something, something that's worth risking. East Berlin sells, West Berlin bells. When you walk the streets of Paris, admire old ancient Rome, or talk with friends and neighbors in the comfort of your home. Don't take it all for granted. Don't be deaf to what he tells. Listen in the distance for West Berlin bells, tolling out for freedom, tolling out for something, something that's worth risking. East Berlin sells, West Berlin bells, West Berlin bells. Thank you very much. I like to do a song of a little bit different type pace here for you. This is a song that is kind of a well-known song. It's been recorded through the years by many different artists. It's called San Francisco Bay Blues, and this was written by the late Jesse Fuller. Got the blues for my baby living by the San Francisco Bay. Ocean liner, she's gone so far away. Didn't mean to treat her so bad. Best gal ever has had. Said goodbye like to make me cry. Won't lay down and die. Well, I ain't got a nickel and I ain't got a lousy dime. If she don't come back, Lord, I think I'm gonna lose my mind. If she ever comes back to stay, be another brand new day. Walking with my baby down by the San Francisco Bay. Hey, hey, hey. Sitting down looking from my back door, wonder which way to go. Woman I'm so crazy about, Lord, she don't want me no more. Think I'll take a freight train, cause I'm a feeling blue. Ride all the way to the end of the line, thinking only of you. Meanwhile, ain't another city, just about to go insane. Sounds like I heard my baby the way she used to call my name. If she ever comes back to stay, it'll be another brand new day. Walking with my baby down by the San Francisco Bay. Hey, hey, hey. Meanwhile, ain't another city, just about to go insane. Sounds like I heard my baby the way she used to call my name. If she ever comes back to stay, it'll be another brand new day. Walking with my baby down by the San Francisco Bay. Hey, hey, hey. Walking with my baby down by the San Francisco Bay. I'd like to sing a song for you that I wrote many years ago. It's kind of a cowboy love song. It's called Brown-Eyed Georgia Darling. I come from the state of Georgia in the southeastern part of the U.S. So this is my cowboy love song, Brown-Eyed Georgia Darling. The hoofbeats of a stallion stirs the dusty ground into a powdered rain that lifts and curls until it's done and settles down into his flowing mane. The mountain range is bending and the prairie dogs are calling for tomorrow. Our lungs are scorched from breathing and our eyes are tired of staring through the sand. In the rampage of a cyclone fights a lost and frightened starling. In a weather-beaten saddle with my brown-eyed Georgia darling. Our lips are cracked and mouths are dry, at night the sun still seems to be glowing. You can bet all our dreams with the mountain streams that never cease from flowing. The desert chains are stronger than the walls of every prison farm. And the noonday sun is hotter than the dungeon of Satan's evil charm. In the rampage of a cyclone fights a lost and frightened starling. In a weather-beaten saddle with my brown-eyed Georgia darling. Up ahead there's a river and a man in a snow-white flowing gown. Upon his head is resting the brightest and most haunting golden crown. He's offering us a drink from the dipper that is filled with all our dreams. And he's washing off our brow that was scarred from the hellish solar beams. In a cool mountain breeze floats a homebound black-winged starling. In a golden studded saddle with my brown-eyed Georgia darling. Thank you very much. There's a region of the United States called Appalachia. It's a mountain range that runs from down in the northern part of the U.S., northern part of Georgia, up all the way up to the top of Maine. And there, in the regions of Kentucky and Tennessee, there are many coal mines. Through the years, the coal miners of this region have been mistreated by the owners of the coal mines as far as having unsafe working conditions and unfair pay. The great country western singer Loretta Lynn comes from this region. How she got her nickname of coal miner's daughter. I have a song, Appalachian Coal Miner's Son, which is written from the view of a son of a coal miner who has seen his grandfather and his father being coal miners and sees his future as only being a coal miner as well. And he's seen all the pain that has come with being in the coal mine region. His daddy was a soldier in the Union Brigade, dark-eyed, religious, headstrong with his spade. 14 long years searching through the coal's darkest night. 14 long years yearning for a breath of golden light. For the perfume's fair fragrance is sweet in the wind. This man's fight with hell is never done. For there's no compromise when seen through the eyes of an Appalachian coal miner's son. The meadowlark sings to the tune of the spring, and the dandelion stands high in the sun. But the miner meets the dust below the deadly frozen crust, and never sees the beauty of a one. Where the mine inspectors go, they know not what they know when staring down the barrel of a gun. For there's no compromise when seen through the eyes of an Appalachian coal miner's son. The distance between hatred and murder is slim. In the minds of the bosses, the catalyst to swim. For the loss of a dollar is the loss of a life, whether union organizer, his child, or his wife. And the families of the dead's hearts bleed deep with pain, and the war's never lost and never won. For there's no compromise when seen through the eyes of an Appalachian coal miner's son. He's seen his daddy gone in wee hours of the dawn, and he knows his father's life is on the line. For he's seen his daddy die, and he's heard his mama cry when they pull the bodies from the broken mine. Explanation and blame are but one and the same when tasted by the lips of everyone. But there's no compromise when seen through the eyes of an Appalachian coal miner's son. When I was about 19 years old, I just got through reading a book called The Catcher in the Rye, which is it's a kind of a modern day American classic. And almost all teenage kids read this book. And it had quite an impact on me, and I thought it was great. And so I decided I was going to put The Catcher in the Rye to music and make a song based on the book, which I did. As years went on, I ended up recording the song twice, and at many of my concerts, people requested this song. So this is it, The Catcher in the Rye. I'm gonna catch me a ride on a subway car, headed for the old North Star, and leave my troubles stranded on the mainland. I'm gonna crown the god of night with light, pull myself clean out of sight, and turn the phony world I live to sand. I would gladly sail away and never mind the words you say, they're just the figments of your imagination. Cast your riddles at my head about the way I must be fed upon your rules and schools of institution. where the mountains built so high, and the shores of the sea sometimes get lonely. Why, Lord, why must I learn to testify when all I want to be is just a catcher in the rye? It's hard to dream within a scheme. Says your soul can't be redeemed. The silent night is heard outside my window. Days are long, ways are short. Nights are left with no resort except to listen to the lonesome wind blow. Why, Lord, why were the mountains built so high, and the shores of the sea sometimes get lonely? Why, Lord, why must I learn to testify when all I want to be is just a catcher in the rye? If you can't seem to find the aim of the rules set for the game, they'll throw you in a school of restitution. They'll look you in the eye and grin, say I'd like to be your friend, and wear a sign read long live execution. Why, Lord, why were the mountains built so high, and the shores of the sea sometimes get lonely? Why, Lord, why must I learn to testify when all I want to be is just a catcher in the rye? Why, Lord, why must I learn to testify when all I want to be is just a catcher in the rye? Thank you very much. I'm my banjo and do a couple of songs on the banjo. In the meantime, I'm going to get me a drink of aqua. My voice is not all here. I began getting cold. I don't know what the Italian word is for cold, but that's what I have. And I've been fighting off laryngitis. And when you sing night after night, it gets very difficult. But I will make it through the program. Maybe with only half a voice, but I will make it through the program. Be right back. Okay, I'm sure most of you have seen a 5-string banjo, probably, this day and age. Most 5-string banjos now are bluegrass banjos. I don't play bluegrass banjo, I just play the folk banjo. But anyway, we'll see what we can do with it here. I have a friend in New York City named Sis Cunningham. Sis Cunningham was an original member of the Almanac Singers back in the 1930s with Woody Guthrie and Pete Seeger and some other people. Sis, she comes out of the Dust Bowl as well, just like Woody Guthrie. She wrote a song during the migrant days of the Dust Bowl people called How Can You Keep On Moving Unless You Migrate Too? Because the migrant workers were going to California to look for a better life. When they got there, the people said, turn around and go back. They said, keep on moving, but don't migrate. Well, since to migrate you have to move, Sis didn't understand this, and she thought it was quite amusing, so she wrote this song for these people called How Can You Keep On Moving? How can you keep on moving unless you migrate too? They tell you to keep on moving, but migrate you must not do. I'll tell you why I'm moving. The reason why I roam is to get to a new location and find myself a home. I can't go back to the homestead. The shack no longer stands. They said I wasn't needed, had no claim to the land. They said you better get on moving, it's the only thing for you. But how can you keep on moving unless you migrate too? And if you pitch your little tent along the broad highway, Board of Sanitation says sorry you cannot stay. Go on, get along and get moving is their everlasting cry. Can't stay, can't go back, can't migrate, so where in the heck am I? And the scenery by the roadside is a mighty dreary sight. If in this whole wide country you've got no place to lie, I never was one for rambling, my folks is a settling kind. Gotta keep on searching for that home that I someday hope to find. No, I cannot stand the miseries following me around unless I'm looking forward to a place I can settle down. So I guess we ought to talk things over, see what we can do. 'Cause how can you keep on moving unless you migrate too? I guess we ought to round up all the folks and see what we can do. 'Cause how can you keep on moving unless you migrate too? It's the only thing about these old-time five-string banjos, you have to change the tuning almost on every song. I kind of grew up listening to the banjo. Growing up in the South, the banjo was just as move that forward just a hair here. I have to lean forward. So, growing up in the southeastern United States, the banjo was just about as common as to be seen as the guitar or the violin or the piano. But in most parts of the country and of the world, it's only become popularized in the last 25 or 30 years. Many times On the weekends, my family would ride up to the mountains, and you could often hear on a front porch, maybe passing by on the highway, or at a storefront, somebody picking one of these things, kind of like this. Well, I may not drive a new car and wear a big old diamond ring, but I got a little something money just can't bring. Got my own true love beside me, walking hand in hand with pride. It makes me mighty glad that I got Jesus on my side. I wake up in the morning, feeling kinda down. One smile from my sweetheart is enough to bring me round. When I look out in the country and see the blue sky up above, can feel it all around me, that this world was made with love. There's a lot of people thinking, I just don't understand. They think they can get by without helping hand. There's no need to take the rough road and have a rocky ride when you can have a good life with Jesus on your side. So if you gotta go your own way, do what you must do. Don't forget there's someone who can turn gray skies. Well, I may not drive a new car and wear a big old diamond ring, but I got a little something that money just can't bring. Got my own true love beside me, walking hand in hand with pride. It makes me mighty glad that I got Jesus on my side. There was another song that you could often hear being played in a minor key. It's a song I've liked for many years, called Shady Grove. Shady Grove, I say, Shady Grove, my little love, I'm bound to go away. Cheeks as red as a blooming rose, eyes the prettiest brown. She's the darling of my heart, sweetest little girl in town. Shady Grove, my little love, Shady Grove, I say, Shady Grove, my little love, I'm bound to go away. Wish you had a big fine horse and corn to feed him on. Shady Grove, stay at home and feed him while I'm gone. Shady Grove, my little love, Shady Grove, I say, Shady Grove, my little love, I'm bound to go away. Went to see my Shady Grove, she's standing in the door. Shoes and stockings in her hand and little bare feet on the floor. Shady Grove, my little love, Shady Grove, I say, Shady Grove, my little love, I'm bound to go away. When I was a little boy, I wanted a Barlow knife. Now I want little Shady Grove to say she'll be my wife. Shady Grove, my little love, Shady Grove, I say, Shady Grove, my little love, I'm bound to go away. A kiss from pretty little Shady Grove, sweet as brandy wine. There ain't no girl in this world that's prettier than mine. Shady Grove, my little love, Shady Grove, I say. Shady Grove, my little love, I'm bound to go away. Shady Grove, I say. Shady Grove, my little love, I'm bound to go away. Thank you. I have a song here called The New Alabama Jubilee. Excuse me. There was a song many years ago called The Alabama Jubilee, but this is The New Alabama Jubilee. Through the years, the black man in America has been pushed aside as being less equal than the white man. Growing up in the South, I saw this as firsthand as you could see, and as a boy I didn't understand it. So through the years I was influenced, I think, by my childhood into my way of thinking that I couldn't understand why the black man wasn't equal as everyone else. This song I have here is written from the eyes of a black man who the most wonderful thing in his life is his lovely Annabelle, until one day a white man insults his lovely Annabelle and he's pushed beyond his limit of control and he lays the white man on the ground. This is called The New Alabama Jubilee. I was raised on a dirt road just south of Birmingham, and I learned very young to say yes sir and yes ma'am. Like my 8 brothers and sisters, I'd work my time away, picking Alabama cotton for 50 cents a day. When I became a man, things didn't get much better then, 'cause the people put me down for the color of my skin. And the only saving grace that ever seemed to come to me was my lovely Annabelle from out of Montgomery. Alabama Jubilee, how it feels good to be free. Let me dance beneath your moonlight one more time. Alabama Jubilee, bring my Annabelle to me before I pay with my life for my crime. Well, the city lights were pretty from the colored side of town, and we weren't ashamed to wear a hand-me-down. And we listened to the jazz bands that played out in the street and sang along with Dixie in the Alabama heat. Well, we taught our kids of freedom and taught our kids of song, and we tried to let them know the right from wrong. At our Sunday morning service is where they learn that Jesus saves, and they learned about the struggle before Lincoln freed the slaves. Alabama Jubilee, how it feels good to be free. Let me dance beneath your moonlight one more time. Alabama Jubilee, bring my Annabelle to me before I pay with my life for my crime. Just like Gibraltar, my Annabelle, she always stood so strong. You can only take a put down for so long. On the day that a white man called my Annabelle a name, I laid him on the cold ground and hung my head in shame. Alabama Jubilee, how it feels good to be free. Let me dance beneath your moonlight one more time. Alabama Jubilee, bring my Annabelle to me before I pay with my life for my crime. Thank you very much. I appreciate you being a very kind audience for me here. Sometimes on these tours, even in Italy, some of the concerts are at bars and not theaters, and some of the people can tend to get very rowdy in these bars. And it's very nice to be able to play for people that come to listen. Okay, I'd like to sing you a song that was written by Woody Guthrie, who in America, he's one of the most beloved American folk songwriters. Woody wrote a song called "This Land Is Your Land," which is one of the best loved songs that America has. It's taught in schools to young children, very young age. But Woody Guthrie was not as well known as his songs when he was alive. He's been dead now for 20-something years, and Woody Guthrie wrote many angry songs as well as the patriotic songs, because Woody Guthrie stood for the working man and the downtrodden. One of these songs is called "Vigilante Man," and it goes like this. Well, have you seen that vigilante man? Well, have you seen that vigilante man? Now, have you seen that vigilante man? I've heard his name all over this land. Tell me, what is a vigilante man? Tell me, what is a vigilante man? Does he carry a club and a pistol in his hand? Is that a vigilante man? Rainy nights down at the engine house, sleeping just as warm as a mouse. Will a man come around and he throwed us out in the rain? Was that a Casey was just a working man. He said, unite, all you working men. Well, they killed him in the river. Some strange man was that, a vigilante man. Tell me, why does a vigilante man, tell me, why does a vigilante man carry that sawed-off shotgun right down in his hand? Would he shoot his brother and sister down? So have you seen that vigilante man? Well, have you seen that vigilante man? Well, have you seen that vigilante man? I've heard his name all over this land. Thank you. Right back. He said I fought back stormy weather, and those girls in Port of Nice. Just when I think about surrender, you come running up to me. Yes, I'm sure you could be a contender, Lord, for a place in history. Met a man from California. He had hunger in his eye. He said I'd slept out in the gutter and been kicked by passers-by. Just when I think about surrender, you come running up to me. Yes, I'm sure you could be a contender, Lord, for a place in history. Yes, I ran into the devil. He wants to bargain for my soul. He said, I'll give you fame and fortune and the power to control. And yes, I ran into an angel. She wants to take me by the hand and fly me off to heaven to play in Jacob's sacred band. Just when I think about surrender, you come running Yes, I'm sure you could be a contender, Lord, for a place in history. When I think about surrender, you come running up to me. Yes, I'm sure you could be a contender, Lord, for a place in history. Gracias. Here's a song called The Hobo's Lullabye. The song was supposedly written by a man named Goebel Reeves back in the 1920s. He was known as the Texas Drifter, and he wrote several songs about hobos. This is my favorite, Hobo's Lullabye. Go to sleep, weary hobo. Let the towns drift slowly by. Can't you hear the steel rails humming? That's the hobo's lullaby. I know your clothes are torn and ragged, and your hair is turning gray. Lift your head and smile at trouble. You'll find peace and rest someday. So go to sleep, you weary hobo. Let the towns drift slowly by. Can't you hear the steel rails humming? That's the hobo's lullaby. Don't you worry about tomorrow. Let tomorrow come and go. Tonight you're in a nice warm boxcar, safe from all that wind and snow. So go to sleep, you weary hobo. Let the towns drift slowly by. Can't you hear the steel rails humming? That's the hobo's lullaby. Cause you trouble. They cause trouble everywhere. When you die and go to heaven, there'll be no policeman there. So go to sleep, you weary hobo. Let the towns drift slowly by. Can't you hear the steel rails humming? That's the hobo's lullaby. Can't you hear the steel rails humming? That's the hobo's lullaby. There was a songwriter back in the 1960s named Peter LaFarge. Peter LaFarge was an American Indian. He took his life sometime during the 60s at a young age. But Peter LaFarge wrote some great songs in tribute to the American Indian. One of the songs is called The Ballad of Ira Hayes. This song has been recorded by a number of people through the years, but I think it's a great song. And Ira Hayes, a little background on him, he was an American Indian also who fought in World War II as one of the famed soldiers who raised the American flag on the Battle of Iwo Jima Hill. Ira Hayes returned home a hero, but when he got back to his homeland, he was just another American Indian who had lost their land and lost their crop. So Ira Hayes began to drink very heavily, and he ended up drinking himself into the grave. So that is this song, The Ballad of Ira Hayes. Call him drunken Ira Hayes, he won't answer anymore. Not that whiskey drinking Indian or the Marine that went to war. If you'll gather round me, children, the story I will tell about a brave young Indian you should remember well. From a tribe of Pima Indians, a proud and peaceful band that farmed the Phoenix Valley in the Arizona land. Down their ditches for 1,000 years, the sparkling water rushed till the white man stole their water rights and the running water hushed. Well, Ira's folks was hungry, and their farms grew crops of weeds. But when war came, he volunteered and forgot the white man's greed. Call him drunken Ira Hayes, he won't answer anymore. Not that whiskey drinking Indian or the Marine that went to war. They battled up Iwo Jima Hill, 250 men, and only 27 lived to walk back down again. And after the fight was over and Old Glory was raised, among the men that held her high was an Indian, Ira Hayes. Call him drunken Ira Hayes, he won't answer anymore. Not that whiskey drinking Indian or the Marine that went to war. Ira Hayes returned a hero, celebrated through the land. He was wined, speeched, and honored. Everybody shook his hand. But he's just a Pima Indian. No water, no crops, no chance. Back home, nobody cared what Ira had done. And when do the Indians dance? Ira, he started drinking hard. Jail was often his home. They let him raise the flag there and lower it like you throw a dog a bone. He died drunk early one morning in the land he'd fought to save. 2 inches of water in a lonely ditch was a grave for Ira Hayes. Call him drunken Ira Hayes, he won't answer anymore. Not that whiskey drinking Indian or the Marine that went to war. Yeah, call him drunken Ira Hayes, but his land is still as dry, and his ghost is lying thirsty in the ditch where Ira died. There's been many a lone companion lost out in the canyon, chasing the old bearded Dutchman's tail. In the Superstion mountains with their hidden golden fountains, many men have died upon her trail. For the lure of gold has a mighty heavy hold on a man with a fever in his spine. I'd rather be lost in love, oh yeah. I'd rather be lost in tradition. I'd rather see the sunrise in the waking of your eyes than to be lost in superstition's mind. For every step that's taken and every stone that's shaken, the rattlesnake is watching from below. And for every hour sleeping, the wolf is slowly creeping as the ghost of the painted Navajo. For a glitter in an eye can cause an honest man to lie. Seduction of the gold runs deep and fine, but I'd rather be lost in love, oh yeah. I'd rather be lost in tradition. I'd rather see the sunrise in the waking of your eyes than to be lost in superstition's mind. With a hidden sense of duty, a hypnotic sense of beauty, superstitions lie awake in need. For many a passing stranger who's dared to toil with danger, a body has been left alone to bleed. For hungry and cold, forsake all for the gold, not knowing when and where to draw the line. But I'd rather be lost in love, oh yeah. I'd rather be lost in tradition. I'd rather see the sunrise in the waking of your eyes than to be lost in superstition's mind. I'd rather see the sunrise in the waking of your eyes than to be lost in superstition's mind. Thank you very, very much. I'm going to do 3 more songs and that will conclude the program. The two songs I'm going to do now are 2 songs that are very meaningful to me The first one was written by a man named Phil Ochs. Phil Ochs was a folk singer back in the 1960s and 70s in America. He, some people considered him to be only equaled in songwriting by Bob Dylan back in the 1960s. And unfortunately, Phil never gained the fame and star status that Bob Dylan did. But nevertheless, his songs stand as a monument to a great songwriter. I was fortunate to get to know Phil Ochs when I first moved to New York City back in the mid-70s. Unfortunately, I only got to know him the last year of his life because in 1976, Phil took his life. He had many problems. He had alcoholism being one of the biggest, and he got into a deep depression and just couldn't pull out of it. I have a song that I wrote for him that I'll do for you in just a minute. But the first song is a song that's always been one of my favorites. It's called Bound for Glory, and it was written in tribute to Woody Guthrie. There's been many songs through the years written in tribute to Woody Guthrie. One that Dylan wrote, too, called Song to Woody, but in my opinion, Phil's song stands as the strongest one and the most beautiful tribute to Woody Guthrie I've written. He walked all over his own growing land, from the New York Island to the California sand. He saw all the people that needed to be seen, planted all the grass where there needed to be green. And now he's bound for a glory all his own. And now he's bound for glory. You can sing that with me if you'd like. It's very simple. All it is, and now he's bound for a glory all his own. And now he's bound for glory. He rode and he sang and he rode upon the rails, and he got on board when the sailors had to sail. He said all the words that needed to be said, fed all the hungry souls that needed to be fed. And now he's bound for a glory all his own. And now he's bound for glory. He sang in our streets and he sang in our halls, and he was always there when the unions gave a call. He did all the jobs that needed to be done, and he always stood his ground when the smaller man would run. And now he's bound for a glory all his own. And now he's bound for glory. And its pastures aplenty, wrote the Dust Bowl balladeer. And this land is your land, he wanted us to hear. And the rising of the unions will be sung about again, and the deportees live on through the power of his pen. And now he's bound for a glory all his own. And now he's bound for glory. Now they sing out his praises on every distant shore, And so if you remember what he was fighting for, oh, why sing the songs and forget about the aim? He wrote 'em for a reason, why not sing 'em for the same? And now he's bound for a glory all his own. And now he's bound for glory. And now he's bound for a glory all his own. And now he's bound for glory. Thank you very much. This songwriter, Phil Ochs, he left me. I was only in my early 20s when I knew him, and he left me with many impressions. And one of the impressions he left me with was that he was very taken by the late movie stars and singing stars who had died at a young age, like James Dean, Hank Williams, and people like this who kind of had a legendary status. When I was recording my second album for Warner Brothers, and I was sitting in a hotel room in Hollywood, California, and I needed another song for the album, so I sat up all night, the last night before we were to finish recording, writing this song called Legends for Phil Ochs. It goes like this. The first time that I called you at that old New York hotel, it was Halloween all over with that trick you played so well. I woke you up from dreaming, singing songs of yesterday. We took a drive to Newport to hear St. Peter play. Dust on your mantle, legends on your mind, hanging out with Bogart in some bygone place and time. Sing me your sweet changes when I'm feeling down and blue, and I'll treasure precious hours that I've stole away with you. Oh, the muggy nights in Soho, I had so much to learn. You gave me wings to fly away and asked for no return. Lon Chaney's ghost beside us wore the face of Mickey Finn, and I never once suspected that you and he were friends. Dust on your mantle, legends on your mind, hanging out with Bogart in some bygone place and time. Sing me your sweet changes when I'm feeling down and blue, and I'll treasure precious hours that I've stole away with you. The last time that I saw you, you weren't really even there. I cried when I heard you come across out on the air. You bid your last farewell just like your first hello, and I'll always think about you when I pass through Ohio. Dust on your mantle, legends on your mind, hanging out with Bogart in some bygone place and time. Sing me your sweet changes when I'm feeling down and blue, and I'll treasure precious hours that I've stole away with you. Thank you very much. I just want to say again, before I can't say anything, with my voice slowly going, just want to thank you for being a very wonderful audience, and it's been my pleasure to sing for you here tonight. I'm going to close with a song that I wrote in Toronto, Canada, back many years ago, called Days I Left Behind. Well, I set out for old Greenland like the wild geese set out for the winter's home. And I passed along the roadside all the places that I'd ever hoped to roam. My days were filled with blue skies and the evenings drifted slowly in so kind. I'd lay asleep beneath the pines, dreaming about the days I left behind. Many times I'd be awakened by the cracking of the midnight rains a-pounding, and I'd hear the cedars singing to the tune of the old north winds sounding. The darkness was a-flashing while the barley grains danced in perfect time. With open eyes all night you'd find me dreaming about the days I left behind. Through the blinding fog I saw a face who stood alone with just his lonesome eyes. And I melted in the sunlight when he wrote my name across the hazy skies. I chased him through the shadows as he faded down deep inside my mind. I counted all the highway signs while dreaming about the days I left behind. I counted all the highway signs while dreaming about the days I left behind. Thank you very much. Okay, thank you very much. I guess we have time for one more short song, right, Tonino? Okay. Okay, I'll do you one of my favorite Woody Guthrie songs to close the evening. It's called Pretty Boy Floyd. Pretty Boy Floyd was a a bank robber back in Oklahoma in the southwest U.S. back in the 1930s, and kind of like John Dillinger and Jesse James. Somehow Woody Guthrie saw this man, Pretty Boy Floyd, as a hero rather than a bank robber. I don't know how a bank robber can be a hero, but that's the way Woody Guthrie saw him, as kind of a Robin Hood type character, like he was taking from the rich, from the banks, and giving to the poor. But I don't know if he was doing that or not, but that's the way Woody saw it anyway. It's still a good song, whether it's a true story or not. The Ballad of Pretty Boy Floyd. If you'll gather round me, children, a story I will tell about Pretty Boy Floyd, the outlaw. Oklahoma knew him well. Was in the town of Shawnee on a Saturday afternoon. His wife beside him in his wagon, as into town they rode. There a deputy sheriff approached him in a manner rather rude, using vulgar words of language, and his wife she overheard. Pretty Boy grabbed a log chain and the deputy grabbed his gun. In the fight that followed, he laid that deputy down. Well, he took to the trees and timbers to live a life of shame. Every crime in Oklahoma was added to his name. There's many a starving farmer, the same old story told, how this outlaw paid a mortgage and saved their little home. Others tell you about a stranger that come to beg a meal, and underneath his napkin left $1,000 bill. It was in Oklahoma City. It was on a Christmas day. There come a whole carload of groceries with a letter that did say, you say that I'm an outlaw, you say that I'm a thief. Well, here's a Christmas dinner for the family's own relief. As through this world I've traveled, I've seen lots of funny men. Some will rob you with a 6-gun, and some with a fountain pen. But it's through this life you travel, as through this life you roam, you won't never see an outlaw drive a family from their home. Thank you very much. Well, I only wish that I could speak fluent Italian so I could tell you how much that I appreciate that, because when you come to Europe from America, especially when you come to countries that are non-English speaking countries and you can't speak the language, it's very difficult, and especially when you do music like that I do, where the importance is very important on the words. I only hope, if you don't understand the words, that at least I can impress, I can give a feeling of what I'm saying through my songs. And if I can do that, it makes me feel very, very good. And I just want to say thank you very, very much. Bottom of my heart.